Greetings Space Cadets and welcome back for another Minecraft episode. In today's episode we're doing something completely different. This is a sort of a bonus episode in between the episodes. What we are here, we are not in our survival world where we're collecting our Xbox achievements. We are in the creative copy of the world where I test certain things out. I have to map certain circuits, unfortunately in Redstone, that don't work in the Bedrock edition here, like the normal things that you would have in Java. And I've been testing a circuit that is going to help us with our kelp farm. And it is a circuit which will, when a crate is full, when a chest is full even, it will very quickly flush that chest out so that you can get, so you can then transfer that full chest to another system. In our case, our kelp farm, because I don't want our Super Smelter continuously hit just by a few items at the end, what I've rigged here is a system that will empty a storage chest when full, and transfer it away, and then that full chest's worth will then get processed in the Super Smelter so that we're making the most efficient use of our equipment. It looks incredibly complicated. I'm very certain that if we send this video to Mumbo Jumbo, he could probably come up with a far simpler solution. I couldn't find any help on this sort of idea anywhere online. I'm not sure if anyone has had to rig a system like this. It's as I said, it's made complicated because we're in the Bedrock edition, because in our survival world we're collecting our Xbox achievements, but some basic circuits, circuits that you've used for years in Java just don't work in Bedrock. Like some in my Java world, all of my secret bases have some form of this switch underneath. You tap here, and under normal circumstances that would spit the brick out and that would power your line. But unfortunately that sort of thing doesn't work here in the Bedrock. So what we've got here is a ridiculously overly complicated circuit which will flush this chest. So what happens is we have our input here, and that slowly fills up the chest. As you can see, I've got it prepped, ready to go. Once that's full, this comparator will send out a signal saying that it's full to this, which this little loop here is the equivalent of this switch here, which I would have preferred to use. And basically there's one item, there's a set of droppers, yeah they are droppers, and there's one item, it sits in here, and when the button is pressed that gets pushed to here, which then the comparator then sends out a signal, and then when it gets another signal again, then it will, the item will loop around and the signal will be dropped. So following this line, what happens is, once this crate is full, or chest even, I keep calling them crates, a signal will be sent to here which will activate this switch. This will then send a signal up here which will push this block into our hopper timer, and that's so that we can get a signal from the comparator when the comparator is ready to, the signal from the observer once the observer is ready to give a signal. But also what happens during that time, if we come over here, in order to burst the system to life, to start drawing items from those chests, this observer is pushed out, and that sends a quick pulse down here, but we'll follow that in a moment. Also at the same time, this hopper is pushed into place so that, go underneath here, so that these items can then start flowing, so that when that is empty, this will of course change and send a redstone signal out which will turn off the system and reset everything back to normal. And this of course will also get retracted, and this one would be full once that's emptied. And then we have another hopper here which simply transfers the items back, ready to start the system again. So what happens then? So as we said, this gets a quick burst, and it passes down to another one of these switches. There's got to be an easier way of doing this, but this is why we have our blank world here. Well, I say a blank world, our duplicate world, where I come to test things like, spoilers for a future episode over there. But this is where we come to count things into, as I say, to make sure these circuits actually work, otherwise we'll be wasting time. It's the same likes of our, if we just fly over here for a second. Another older world which has been deleted was where I created this so that I could get the position of it right, get the right number of blocks, the right look, so that I can then go in the creative survival world, mine all the number of blocks that we needed so that we can build it together in our survival world. I still really like this. I might have to build a few more of these dotted around just to, especially since I'm working on clearing out, seeing how many sponges it's going to take out to clear that ocean monument. But anyway, back to what we were doing. So we'll demo those in a moment. You'll also see here, which I'll show you underground, in order to flush the chest as quickly as possible, because remember we have to flush it before that hopper timer runs out. I did have an experiment where I used slime blocks and about 6 hoppers in an insane chain, but that got really complicated, so I had to cancel that idea. But having this little array here of all these hopper mine carts allows us to flush items really quickly. Let's just chuck that in there, and you see it's all starting to come down here. It only slows down when it gets to the bottom there, but yeah, you see there it all zooms straight down. And of course we've got stuff all sat in here already from the experiments that we've been running. So let's head back over here and back to what we were doing. So the hopper timer gets activated. This sends a signal here which flicks this switch on. This switch then, the comparator then powers this line, which then sends a signal into this block, which inverts this signal here. Yes, this does sound insanely complicated, doesn't it? So this signal here becomes inverted, which then inverts this, which then drives these pistons with these hopper mine carts in and pushes them under this chest. Simultaneously, a second signal comes round and sends another signal to, an inverted signal from here, of course, so this line turns off. And these retract, allowing the hopper mine carts to be pushed underneath. And also at the same time, this signal here is inverted, sends a signal just up to this last hopper so that it locks the hopper so that nothing else can go in, just in case other items start flowing in, and I don't want it to have any sort of confusing signal out here that might reset the system or do something weird. But well, once that timer expires, this will send a pulse through here. It sends like a double pulse sort of thing out of this observer. So we've had to put a few ticks of delay into here, and this redstone signal just pops down. It signals this to reset so that this one then will power, and then all of this will turn off and the hoppers will be retracted to this position here. It then sends another double burst for some reason out of here, so we've had to put a little bit more delay into the system here just to cope with that, so that it kept on looping over and over again. And that will send a signal out to here which will cut the power to this and reset this back to its state of waiting for the box to be full. And that will turn off this redstone here. It will retract the block, which is giving a signal to the observer. Both of these will retract. This won't send a signal because it's just retracting. It'll send a signal to a blank space down there. This hopper is retracted, and the items can then start just flowing, making their way back here. They've got plenty of time because it takes time for this chest to fill, which we'll be filling with our kelp, because this is all just for timing for the kelp farm. I'll quickly show you the design that I'm not going to use, but I just had to build something temporary. Now, as I said in the last episode, we lost our skeleton horses down here, and because this space is directly underneath our super smelter, I should really put some torches down here to see if we've got one I can duplicate. Yeah. So let's just run a couple of torches down here, just so you can see what's going on. As I say, this is not going to be the design. I just needed something functional just for the sake of the experiment. So of course this goes back down here, and then the items will come out, and somewhere we will have the mechanism that we've built outside there, which will push the items only into this side of our super smelter. And if we go in there, and then of course this creative world definitely is old because we don't have this lighting in here anymore, but the idea is the kelp will just keep on continuously filling up this side whenever it's ready, and we'll still be able to use the smelter in its entirety in between those, and we'll always have this side will always be available to us anyway, so we'll always have a space to be able to smelt. But this is all spoilers for future episodes. Let's hop out here and we will test our chest drainage system. Let's fly up out of here. So, as I said, this is the input. You can have it coming from anywhere, just whichever you prefer. Let's just get another stack of them because we threw them into another box, didn't we? And what we will do is we will take these here, so that just leaves us with 16 items there, and we open that chest. We'll just chuck both of those in there and we will see the system working, hopefully. So there we go, that's them getting pushed there. That hopper got transferred to there. As you can see, that's counting down. And the items are flying out of here. Now, if we go to the space underground, which I should have really shown you before we activated the system, because this is actually quite a critical element. I don't know if it's because of the Bedrock edition which is causing this. It's probably far easier in the Java edition. I haven't had time to test it because unfortunately the Java edition since the Aquatics update just doesn't run very well. Even on this 12-core behemoth computer that I'm playing on, that can load 80 odd chunks away, or even beyond that, in every direction in a matter of seconds. Unfortunately, the Java edition since that update just runs really sluggish when it's set to max. So anyway, let's have a look in here. Now, what I've got here is this similar chain but taller. You don't actually need it to be this tall because you only needed the number of hoppers, hopper minecarts, to match the spaces in a double chest, just so that it draws everything down, because once it's down it'll buffer in these. In fact, it should be buffering. Yeah, you see it's buffering in some of these. How far down is it? Ooh, see, it gets this stuff out really fast. So there you go, it's now up to this level of buffering. But in order to get this to work, because what I found is some of the items were coming down and then just vanishing. And some of the hoppers that were higher up, like I put this marker in here because for some reason items were coming into here and then just vanishing in between here. The way around that is blocks of redstone and using the powered rails. And what I did was I took the hopper minecart, and once the rail was powered, placed it on this block. It then moved to this side by itself, and then before it has a chance to bounce back, you click another one in, and that seemed to solve the issue. So if you want to build this yourself, just remember that if you're in the Bedrock edition, I don't know about the Java, you might have to do this in Java now as well, but you can just pop those on there, make sure they're powered, and that makes the system happy. And you just heard that clunk there. That was the system resetting. So you'll see there the items in here for the timer are now pushing back here to be ready, and you'll see here the other stack, because we put a stack and a bit in here, now gets the opportunity to move out. If I click on the right one, so that'll move there. And what we should find is there's actually 63 items in here, because it does draw one extra item, but since we're only using this for kelp, we're not worried about that. It's all going to be the same item going through the system anyway. So there we go. What we'll do is we will rig this. You'll see there's buttons I've got dotted around here. We will make this a little bit faster and we will watch it from above. Let's see, how many of these have we got? Right, let's take those out there. And yeah, this is going to cause a bit of a signal, isn't it? Yep, let's just make sure that I haven't damaged anything by taking all out there. Yep. So what we're going to do is we are going to simulate that chest is full. We're just going to tap there. And we come up here. You see the hoppers get pushed across, the hopper minecarts even. And we've only got a short timer in there. So there we go. That's that. And then that's that drawn back around. And you would have seen there, if we just signal that again. You see the hopper gets locked, these get turned off, and then just because we've got that short timer in there, you see this gear then sends a signal over to there, which then turns off these, so that the system can then reset and simply wait for another chest to be completely filled. And with the kelp farm down there, it will just continuously do that in a loop, and it will slowly get get us tons of fuel for our super smelter. So there we go. I'm not quite sure what to call this device yet. Hopefully by the time I've edited this together, I'll have some idea of what we're going to call it. Let me know if you would like a block-by-block tutorial on this. I don't plan on showing this in our survival world, just because it's quite complicated, and I think I'll just, because it's going to take me a little bit of time to duplicate it, I'm going to take a lot of screenshots and make sure I match up all the timings, which unfortunately in this Bedrock edition are critical, because nothing behaves the same way as it behaves in the Java edition. I wish they would just make each edition equal, and it would save so much confusion. Because there's lots of other things that just don't work properly in here. I mean, the slime farm that we've got here, the only way this works, we have to stay miles away from it. We actually stay in our tower or in our AFK panic room. So I've got to sit up here in our tower in order to get any slimes. Actually, let's see if we can see any slimes, because I've only ever seen slimes once in the other world. And that's down here. No, nothing. I've only ever seen them, as I say, once. If I can get over here quickly in this creative world, I can sometimes see one. It does produce an awful lot of slime, this system. I should show this as well, because this is another thing that we're going to be building in our survival world. I actually just fixed this last night, because I was having an issue where this column just wasn't pushing all of the items up. There was lots of items just getting stuck, so you weren't getting full stacks up there. But just simple little modification that I've made is just sticking a pulse extender in. Couldn't believe it, just such a simple solution. Put your pulse extender in, and this just extended out the TikTok, shall we say, of these going. Let's stick something in here. 64 of these red ones. Of course, I maybe should have put it directly in to the thing, but you'll see. Either way, it's going nice and fast there. Zoom all the way to the top, and see the items there are nicely going in. But says the weather report coming in behind me. Oh, we've got lost one item. Or was that a block? Was that a stack of 63? Let's have a quick look. It won't be in there, because that will be powered if it was. So typically this worked yesterday, but not working today. Wasn't the stack of 63 that I had in there from one of the other experiments. No, here it is. Here's the block. Right, so that pulse extender will just have to be extended even further. That's another thing as well. It pulse extenders in the what am I doing with that? Pulse extenders in the Bedrock edition also don't behave quite like you'd expect as well. You could just have them all right next to each other, but for reasons unknown, the Bedrock edition, that just doesn't work. You have to break them apart, otherwise they go absolutely mental. So right, let's stick another block of 64 in there, and that will hopefully, unless this gets burnt out, that will hopefully maybe that's what happened. Maybe that got burnt out because I had to put a triple flasher in one of the other systems in order to keep it the timing right. Let's see, that's going straight up, and it's still flickering, so that went on for a lot longer. Let's zoom back up. Of course, this has nothing to do with the original thing that I started this episode today to do. So we've lost even more in it this time. Right, we'll have to come back to that another day. I thought I'd found a solution, but unfortunately I hadn't. So there we go. As I said, that is our full chest emptying system that will drain things away to keep that will function for our Super Smelter. So don't forget to I should say there as well, it also takes a little while once you get, obviously, once all these buffers are full, they will take time to empty into this chest, just because the it can only go as fast as the hopper can put it in. I don't know if I could possibly, it depends on how quickly things fall from this into that, which it looks like it's just going at the normal slow tick. And I can't, I need to place rails in order to put anything in the chest. In order to put the these minecarts on, so you can't put rails above a chest. So I couldn't have it that way if that would even drop them in. You can't even place these loose. You have to place minecarts onto rails, otherwise the Bedrock Edition just won't let you put them down. I should also say as well, just in case we forget, in case the buffer is full and the hopper minecarts at the top still have items in them, when they get pushed back, this is a little drainage system just to get any excess out. So the hopper minecarts are currently sitting on their rails above here that will drop down here, and it will be pushed the items into these hopper minecarts, which will then let it drop down to the bottom there. I also put, this is not necessary, I just put another one of these so that I can see when this is full. So when that's full, this light will come on, just so whilst I was doing some testing at the top here, I could have a look to see when it was done. If you guys can think of any way to compact this circuit to make it more efficient, or if there's another way of doing this in the Bedrock Edition, just let me know. As I said, it has to be functional in the Bedrock Edition. It can't be the the simple stuff that we used to have in the, well, I assume we still have in the Java Edition. There must be a simplified method. I think I could probably have simplified it if I had have inverted this and had it the other way around. But the way that I built it and just the way that everything started to flow in the design, I couldn't reverse it so that the chest would be here and the hoppers minecarts would sit idling over here. But never mind, I'm not going to complicate this even more, not like when I try to do that, carry on with the sticky pistons and the 6 hopper chains over here. I think this is the simplest method that I can come up with, but if you think of another method, as I said, just let us know in the comments below. Pass this video on to Mumbo Jumbo. He seems fairly confident in Redstone over all these years. He may already have something, but just fingers crossed we can this will work as well in our survival world once we get it built. So don't forget to rate, comment, favourite and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Ooh, spoilers.